Salutations, the name's Cavill. This movie, the moment I chose to be a reviewer, I knew I'd get to this one someday. I just didn't expect it so soon. What is the opposite of nostalgia? Regret? Vengeance? Trauma? Whatever it is, this movie is my epitome. I saw it when I was 7, and at that age you can't really tell what's good and bad. You can pick favorites, but kids mostly just enjoy whatever their parents say to. You have to screw up pretty bad for a child to call out your BS, and this movie just sat next to the family DVD player for my entire childhood, haunting me. I'd be playing Wii Sports with the godforsaken donut staring me down like a gargoyle. What makes this film so bad? Everything, honestly. It's one of the few products where I can't find a single aspect that was handled even passably. Where do I begin? How about the animation? It's technically superior to the show, more lighting effects and way more complex movement, but that isn't entirely a good thing. When you've watched a show for, say, 19 seasons, you get used to how everything moves. Now, The Simpsons did make the gradual transition to sharper animation, but this movie came right in the middle of it and it's constantly off-putting, which describes the presentation as a whole. This movie is way too cinematic and it just feels wrong. Watch this clip.
Lake Springfield has... Lake Springfield.
This is not Simpsons cinematography. The shot would follow Lisa and show the interaction. Every shot just has way too much going on. Even the characters just walking feels so incredibly wrong. I get it, you've got a cinema budget and you want the world to know it, but now you've made a movie that's more budget than Simpsons, and that carries over to the writing. Conventional wisdom dictates that when adapting a cartoon to a movie, you gotta raise the scope and the stakes. The SpongeBob movie is about rescuing crabs from death row. Big Picture Show has the Eds running for their lives. Phineas and Ferb movie is about the tri-state area being invaded. Now, there's nothing wrong with raising tension this way. Those are 3 amazing movies, but I've always felt the best film adaptations are the ones that keep the tone consistent. Things like a Goofy movie, Teen Titans Go to the Movies, Steven Universe movie, or Beavis and Butthead Do America. Let's ignore all of that and assume the most interesting thing The Simpsons could do is fight for their lives. In that case, you had 18 Treehouse of Horrors to watch, and all of them still feel like The Simpsons. But let's say you want something more outlandish, not something scary. May I introduce you to the Simpsons comics? With plots like Selma dating a robo-Homer, Bart finding the Death Note, or Homer getting trapped in a coloring book. Bongo Comics was huge in 2007, over a dozen series based on The Simpsons, which I do plan to review someday. So being tense and quirky doesn't set this film apart at all. But all the segments were pretty short. Let's say you want a more bizarre plot and also a 90-minute runtime. You'd still be disappointed because this movie will repeatedly pick a plot and ditch it. The show itself is pretty guilty of this, but come on, this is a theatrical film, an opus, the biggest project with Matt Groening's name on it, which is actually what messed up the plot so badly. He felt that The Simpsons simply couldn't work with such a length and rewrote the film over 100 times. By the end, the script was apparently a hodgepodge of different plots they tried, and watching it, yeah, you can really see where different movies start and end. This makes the film incredibly unfocused. It starts with Springfield trying to save the environment, but then Homer destroys it on his own, so that was wasted time. The family escapes the dome and flees to Alaska, but then are sent back, so that was wasted time. Homer is separated from his family, but then enters the dome on his own accord, so that was wasted time. The only thing The Simpsons do which isn't undone before the finale is dumping the pig crap silo. No joke, at the end of the movie, Bart starts talking about a buried treasure, and I legit thought it was going to be the next plot. All of this ignores the subplots, which fail to really have a start and end. In the first act, Homer has a pig, and Marge is deciphering a prophecy, but they both stop after escaping the dome. Bart wants Flanders to be his dad, and Lisa finds a love interest. Nothing really happens within these subplots, they're just kind of brought up from time to time to remind the audience that this isn't the Homer movie, whom we need to talk about sooner or later.
And what happens to me if it's my fault?
You'll have to attend a 1-hour parenting class.
It was all his idea. He's out of control, I tell you. I'm at my wit's end. It's so...
Homer in this movie is one of the most diabolical characters in adult cartoon history. No exaggeration, villains included. Flanderization doesn't explain it either. He wasn't anything like this before the movie released, and he hasn't been since. He starts with a lot of textbook child endangerment, but things only get worse from there.
Marge, in every marriage you get one chance to say, I need you to do this with me. And there's only one answer when somebody says that.
Okay, homie.
He betrays Lisa by littering and gets Springfield trapped under a dome. Then when he learns Springfield is going to be destroyed, he just doesn't care. Because they attacked him, he's just ready to let all of his friends die, forgetting that he is completely responsible for this.
Homer, in every marriage you get one chance to say, I need you to do this with me.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
I'm playing a risky amount of clips for this segment because it's not his actions I detest as much as his attitude. He never comes off as unaware of his actions. He isn't stupid at all. He just manipulates and bullies and betrays and is proud of it.
In order to save myself, I have to save Springfield!
That clip right there is the entire resolution. He immediately stops being movie Homer and starts being TV Homer. This makes the climax at least a bit better, but I'm left wondering how this is an epiphany. It ends up ruining what is probably the most important factor, the comedy. Now the comedy is the one thing I'll give this movie a bit of a pass on, for two reasons. One, it's the only writing that feels like Simpsons.
Hey everybody, I found one! The government actually found someone we're looking for!
Season 19 Simpsons, but Simpsons nonetheless. And two, a lot of these jokes are legitimately funny. Not enough of them, but a lot of them. All of the comedy is ruined by the overall mood, however. When you're watching a plot that's blatantly wasting your time and a main character who makes everyone is Squidward, you aren't really put in the headspace to laugh. You just want it to end, and even if a joke is funny, you're just more pissed off because it made the movie longer. I guess the last thing worth talking about is the villain. Just kidding, I'd rather talk about Bart's penis. This guy, why? He's never given a name, the Simpsons don't meet him until the finale, Maggie ends him with a rock, and his plan? A businessman so greedy he wants to blow up a city to make a brand new Grand Canyon? You want me to talk about this villain? Fine, wait for my review of Captain Goddamn Planet. I honestly didn't think the film could be as awful as I remembered it, and I kinda blame it for why The Simpsons is still going. They released a movie this bad for a franchise that hadn't been good in a decade and got over $500 million for it. That is a brand that'll never let you down, and everyone at Fox must have known that. In the next season they had a new intro, which teased that they were waiting 20 more years to make a sequel. I'm sure it was a joke, but if not, see you in 4 years.